Welcome to the LifePod. It's finally here, episode 1 of ... and really just a place and a platform where we will try and assist you and share with you ideas and concepts to navigate life's chaos through unfiltered faith. I think in a culture that craves realness, join us on a journey as we dive into the complexities of modern life and offer a different perspective. So with that said, happy to be joined today by Chris. I think you're going to see a different side of him. So very conversational, literally a space where we're going to share our ideas founded within godly principles and how we look at life and apply the word to our daily lives.
Yeah, we are happy that we're finally kicking this off. And what a privilege it is just to be able to share thoughts and ideas. And we're hoping that what we say along the way is going to be helpful and encouraging and strengthen people. And hopefully it'll just make you think that at the end of the time that we share, that you'll just kind of have some more thoughts around whatever we're talking about, our themes and topics as we go through them. But yeah, that you'd be encouraged to think about how that applies to your own life. And hopefully there'll be some wisdom along the way. We're trusting for that.
100%. And I think also it's quite fitting that we are on the topic of how to New Year. I mean, this is new. We on the brink of a new year. And I think with that comes a lot of pressure to do new things, to do better things, to kind of leave the old in the previous year. And I think today we really just want to speak about how to New Year and intentionally set that way. This is not 5 steps of having an amazing year in 2024, but rather just some practical things, either lived experiences or things that we think might help you. So, Chris, from the top of my head, when you hear New Year, what is the first thing that jumps to mind?
I'm one of those people who, I suppose the best way I describe myself is I'm a bit of a plodder. So kind of 1 year at a time, 1 day at a time. And I've always had this notion that if I didn't get this year right, that I've got next year to correct and change and make the necessary adjustments that are needed. So I think when I hear the word New Year, for me, immediately, I think of new opportunities, things that have to change, a timeline in the sand that's going to help me to address some of the things that aren't right in my world, and hopefully going to produce a better me. So I always kind of feel like it is a reset. It's like you get to reset your computer, a fresh start, fresh boot up. And you get to address the things that need to be addressed in your life. So, I actually get quite excited when we talk about New Year and we talk about, what's coming up because I think you get tired in the old year. And I think it helps you to just kind of adjust your mindset and start to look forward for things that are coming up ahead.
I want to touch on something that you said. You said, that the new year provides an opportunity to get things right that you might have missed in the previous year. And I think a lot of the times people just want to leave everything in the year, especially if your year wasn't that great. And want to start anew. And I think for me sometimes, when you at various spaces of new, and this thing that you talk about, or not thing, but this thing of temporal landmarks. So 1st of January is a temporal landmark. But so is the 1st of Feb. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that, temporal landmarks are the 1st of January and I have to have my life in order and I have to have a list of things to do. But I really want to just quickly focus on the fact that it is okay to bring some of the stuff over from the previous year,
Yeah.
and that you've gained some experience. You are hopefully some growth and development. You are a better individual,
Yeah.
and it's okay to carry some of the things that you didn't get to in the previous year into the new year.
Yeah, look, I think it's a case of, when we say reset and you're starting fresh, I think that gives you an opportunity to work on things, but you're still you, and every year builds on the year before. So you're not suddenly like starting back at zero. You're not kind of going back to, your birth and sort of starting from scratch. No, you are still you. You carry through what you've learned. Hopefully, what you've learned, how you've grown in the year. All of those things should carry through with you. And there are challenges that will carry through with you. And, so we don't just get to discard those. But you're right. I do think that as we kind of move ahead, we can be sort of fixated on the 1st of Jan. But I think we should be inspired to make changes, to evaluate, to look at our lives, but realize that everything is a marathon and not a sprint. And that we're not just going to arrive at what we need to arrive at in the space of a day or a week. What I think especially in South Africa, is that generally the 1st of January is still holiday time. So you're not necessarily back at work. That's not true for everyone, but for a lot of people it is. And so you're still kind of on holiday. You still got that holiday feeling. You still got some time to chill and relax and recuperate. So it doesn't have to be the 1st of Jan. But I do think in the beginning part of the year, it is important to kind of reset, reevaluate, look at the new year and go, okay, cool. What can I learn? How have I grown? And how am I going to face some of the things that are in my life coming up? It is a great moment for us to take some of those things head on.
No, for sure. I think one of the things that the last year, have been this thing of unlearning. It's been quite a point that or a space that I have intentionally just opened myself up to, because I think a lot of times we get stuck because of either just doing it one way and it's always been done that way. But unlearning also, what my experience is, unlearning it also helped me to be more open-minded and actually be open to new ways of doing, which at this age is very hard. But like, if you're intentional about certain things, it can definitely help you in that space. And the reason why I am talking about unlearning is also because closely connected to that is habits. Is that no matter how many New Year's resolutions you put down, no amount of stationery and sticky notes is going to help you if you don't. Because if it was a bad habit last year, it's going to remain a bad. The changing over from 23 to 24 is not going to change that. How do you approach this notion of habits and reviewing those to make sure that you do achieve some of those goals that you put on?
Yeah, look, I think again, as human beings, we have to constantly be willing to evaluate what is working for us and what isn't. Looking at some of the things we do and some of the things we don't. When it comes to habits, we're obviously we get stuck into ways of thinking and doing things. We get so used to it, and it's comfortable because you know how to do that. You know that way of thinking. You know what it delivers. You know how it works out for you, and so you get stuck in that, and you're just comfortable, and you don't want to change because change takes effort. And I think you and I both know that change isn't always something that people want to kind of embrace because it takes hard work. But the beginning of the year is a perfect opportunity for us to kind of look at some of the things we do. I mean, do you spend too much time watching TV, or do you have bad attitudes towards certain people that are carrying over, or there can be a host of different things in our lives that just aren't great, that aren't working for us, and unlearning kind of is like, how can I break those? How can I stop doing those things? How can I break free from those things so that I can embrace new things, things that will be better for me, things that will build into my life, things that will strengthen me, things that will guide me and help me to become who the preferred version of myself. But you always kind of have to start with where you are.
Yeah.
And so there's always some things that kind of do need to be cut away, some things that need to be, some garments that need to be taken off, that you kind of shed, in order to allow for the time, the space, to learn new habits and to do different things. One of the things I've had a crazy notion of late, there's been quite a few people in our church who've been doing dance classes, and I've just kind of been thinking, well, maybe that's something I want to do for the new year. Just, learn some extra dance moves. And, but if I want to do that, it's going to take some planning, and it's going to cost me some money, and I'm going to have to make that happen. And I'm going to have to get Joe to agree with me that she would need to be keen as well. And, so new habits take time and effort. You have to think about it and what needs to go in order to allow that new experience to come in. Yeah. And so the new is that time for us to kind of unlearn some of the stuff we're doing so that we can begin to learn other things and grow in other ways.
And the opposite is also true, that bad habits is definitely going to limit ourselves. Like, you're going to limit yourself through bad habits of not achieving certain goals or getting into different spaces. And growing yourself ultimately. I think that's
also the big thing about bad habits is the shame and just the guilt that goes along with it. I think people unfortunately carry heavy burdens because of some of the choices that they make. And often when it comes to bad habits, I don't think it's anything that people have to. I don't think you have to tell them what their bad habits are.
I'm pretty sure they know what
they know what they are because they carry the guilt and shame. They're always having to lie about it. They're always having to keep that covered. And so, there are definitely things in our lives that we know that are not good for us. And what better time of the year to kind of go, hey, maybe it's time to break away from some of those things.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And I think on that point, it's also important I think a lot of people underestimate clarity on departure point, of really understanding where you are now. And that requires, to do an actual audit, check in, where are we, where am I going? And because it is so difficult to get to the next if you're not sure or have uncertainty about where you are right now. So the clarity of in knowing exactly where you are, at least from my lived experience, helps so much in achieving those goals, changing habits, and just being better, and also just acknowledging that certain things around you either have changed or they have remained, but your departure point looks like this. And if I don't want to be at this exact space come 2025, 2026 for that matter, it is really important, because I think it's a skewed measure of progress if you don't have clarity on your departure point.
Yeah, look, I think self-evaluation is critical. And not everyone's good at it. I think a lot of people just try and ignore what's actually going on in their lives and the things that are really there. And they try and pretend, and they think, well, I can just ignore and I can just keep going and, live from moment to moment and feeling to feeling. But self-evaluation to grow is so important. Not just self-evaluation. If you've got key people in your life who know you and know you well, there's nothing better than actually having a moment of honesty with them and asking them to also comment and speak into your life, because sometimes you have blind spots. You have areas in your life that need work, but you're not even fully aware that that's often the thing that's in the way. And so if you're not good at evaluating yourself and keeping tabs with what's going on in your life, then, you know, people that you love, who care about you, you need to hold yourself accountable to them. Open up your world and your space so that they can speak into it, because they can help point out blind spots in your life that sometimes you're not even realizing, you're not even aware that that is what's causing all the problems. That's what's causing relational breakdown. That's what's stopping you from pressing into becoming who you need to be as a person. And so in the process of evaluating yourself, you should also get other people's input as well, so that you've got a good perspective. You know, the Bible talks about the fact that wisdom comes from the counsel of many.
Yes.
And it also speaks in the New Testament that we should be honest with one another. And so there's this idea and this thought that actually having people speak into your life and allowing people to comment helps the process of self-evaluation. So you have to be willing to firstly be willing to evaluate your life and what's working and what isn't, and who you are and your personality and the kinds of things that are going on. But you also have to take that even a step further. You have to be willing to let others speak into your life. Otherwise, you can live in deception, lie to yourself, and you can continue with that deception, and it will guide your life into all the wrong spaces because you can't see what you, and I mean, one of my mentors used to say, you don't know what you don't know.
100%.
And so you need people to speak and to cast light sometimes into those spaces. But that means that you have to take away the defensiveness, the natural tendency that we have to fight back when people poke or point or say things. I think we struggle dealing with criticism. It's not an easy space for us to go to. But if we want to grow and we want to really step into new things, then it's a crucial element of our growth and development.
100%. And I think a lot of people really enters that space because it requires from them firstly to be open, and secondly to be vulnerable. And I think a lot of us struggle with it, me being one of it. And because otherwise it becomes lip service. So you sit, you listen to the counsel of others, but if you're not open to taking it on board, to investigate why people are saying certain things, and be willing and intentional to make the change, it just then becomes lip service and a process of easing the conscience on this, say, okay, so I heard this guy say that this is part of a process of renewal, other than actually being open and taking on. And it's tough, like you said, because you have to be open for both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes the bad is really bad. And we live in a state of ignorance, like you said, and you continue, and that is definitely going to cap your growth and development.
Yeah. I think also when it comes to that, we also have to realize that, some comments that people make are hurtful and are damaging, and aren't necessarily helpful, because sometimes what they're speaking and saying comes out of their dysfunction.
Sure.
And so you have to realize that in this process, you need to evaluate yourself. You need to allow others to speak into your life, but you also need the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
To guide you and lead you so that you can take on board what you should be taking on board and working on, and reject those comments that come from other people's hurts and dysfunction. So that is a massive step of maturity.
Yeah.
And it's something that people struggle with, because sometimes people think, okay, cool, if I'm going to let other people speak into my life, then they just open the floodgates and they listen to everything that people say, and they are defined by what others say, and what people say about them is literally overtakes their world, and they can't think of anything else. But actually, we're supposed to grab a hold of the nuggets that can help us, the things that will build, the things that will strengthen, the things that will help us deal with the stuff that's going on in our lives. And it's so important that we pray, that we say, Holy Spirit, lead me, so that I can take on board the things that I need to listen to, that are going to help me grow, but the things that are destructive and hurtful, I can reject and say, no, that's not coming on board with me. And I think that opening to the Holy Spirit is what enables us to discern the good from the bad.
100%.
The stuff that's going to help us grow and build, and the stuff that is going to take away, that's going to rob us. And knowing that discernment and having that discernment is it's a gift of the Spirit, and it's such a crucial thing for us, especially if we are going to embark on this journey of looking inside, looking at where we're at, looking at what needs to change, so that coming into the new year, we can make better choices.
100%. I think for me, a practical way of doing or going through that process was I picked up a golden thread. There were certain things that came up consistently. And then you're like, okay, so these are the three I'm going to focus on, or these are the two, or one thing, doesn't really matter. So practically for me, it was like, okay, confirmation on these are the things that you need to work on continuously, because the counsel I received from the various individuals and engagement was like, okay, then now, so practically it was, these are the things, because if it comes up more than once, twice, thrice, then, okay, practically that is where I'm going to, put my focus, put my effort, ask for guidance and clarity, and the discernment that you speak of.
When I was younger, I had an older guy who used to take interest in me. He was a policeman, and he'd take me out for meals and stuff like that. And he wasn't interested in me in any romantic way or anything like that, but he loved the Lord, and he just saw God's potential in me and wanted to kind of speak into that. And I remember one day we were having a conversation in his car, and he said to me, just relax, just realize that you can't take it all on at once. And I think it is important just to say that, when you're trying to deal with yourself and when you're trying to work through things, you're not going to change everything overnight. If you have a revelation of what needs to change and what needs to be worked on, you're not going to get it all right in one moment. And so you kind of just need to just chill a little bit, give yourself a bit of grace, and realize that it is a journey, that you're going to take on things as you can, as the Spirit leads you, that you're going to work on those things, that knowledge is going to help you look at those things and go, that needs to change. But it's not all going to happen by the 7th of January.
100%.
And I think people just and when they don't see it happening by the 7th of January, they're like, oh, what is the point? These stupid things. Why did I bother making resolutions? And then they go out and they eat as much as they can, and they do this and they do that, and they'll end up giving it. No, it's a slow process that's probably might even take you the year, might even take you a few years to deal with. So give yourself a little bit of grace. To realize that it is a process and a journey that isn't going to be achieved in a moment.
100%. I'm one of them that's been carrying more than a year, because it requires more time. And if you're not going to allow that time, you're going to get into that state of frustration, and then you're just off the road entirely, and that's problematic.
Yeah, I think it's super important when we're talking about New Year's resolutions and starting afresh and dealing with some of the things that are in your life as you go into next year. I think it's so important that we also understand that you are spiritual, emotional, and physical.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the resolutions that we kind of come up with are almost always physical. I need to eat less, or I need to start my running regime, or I need to go to gym, or and we sort of do all of those kinds of things. Or maybe we are kind of the people who focus on our emotional wellness. So we go, I need to get more massages, and I need to go on holiday a little bit more, and I need time to think and quiet time on a beach, or whatever sort of things help you sort of process emotions, and and we could maybe think of those kinds of things sort of coming into the year. And some of us would kind of be very super spiritual about it, where we just focus on, I need to pray more, I need to worship more, I need to read the Bible more, and we can focus on just those things.
Sure.
But I think we do need to realize, and it's just a point I do want to make, that we need growth in all of those areas. We need to grow spiritually, we need to grow emotionally, and we need to grow physically. And so in our deliberations and our thinking of the things that maybe need to be adjusted, and some of the areas we need to sort of work on, we need to think of it holistically and consider all of those elements and how we're going to gain traction in the new year.
100%, and I think the holistic approach is the one that is really going to give you the best results.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because one can't be out of balance. It definitely impacts the holistic outcome of the process. And on that, I had this thing going into the new year about being present in the moment. I think as Christians, we are in a perpetual state of waiting for the next, waiting for the blessing, waiting for the prayer to come through, instead of enjoying the moment,
Yeah.
being present in the moment. Ultimately, the blessing is the collective of those moments.
Yeah.
So if I can share something with you guys, in the new year, be present, create moments, be in the moment, and then it will definitely help with this perpetual state of waiting. We're always waiting for the next, and it will be December 2024.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, embracing every moment is so, so important. And make it happen. Be intentional.
Yes.
Create moments. Look for moments. Enjoy every phase of it. Stop wishing your life away. Oh, when this happens. Oh, when that happens. No. Enjoy today. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy who you're with. Enjoy what God's doing in your life. And we are believing for a fantastic 2024. And so it's been great to be with you guys. And we are excited. And hopefully some of what we've talked about is helpful to you. And if it is encouraging, then make a comment, give us a like, whatever it is. And hopefully we'll be back in a month's time.